Well, hello, Young and the Restless Daily Recap fans. Today's daily recap is for Thursday, August the 18th, 2022. Thursday, August 18th, 2022. Things moved on the Young and the Restless, nothing real earth-shattering. We had Chelsea going to Victoria, popping in, saying, is this a bad time? Or I hope I'm not intruding. And Victoria's like, well, then if that's the case, why are you showing up this late at night unannounced? Like, go, Victoria. And so Chelsea's like, okay, if this is a bad time, I could go. She goes, okay, why'd you come? So Chelsea, I just wanted to check on you, which was a lie. She hem-haws about how you feeling. And Victoria finally says, look, Chelsea, it's late. Cut to the chase. And Chelsea says, I want to get the boys together for a play date. And Victoria's like, wait, huh? I want to get the boys together, Johnny and Connor together for a play date. And Victoria's like, last I heard, Connor's not even in town. Well, he's not. But when he comes back, I want to. And Chelsea's like, Victoria's like, look, the kids are just getting over the news of the death of their stepfather. This is not a good time. And Chelsea's like, well, really, she finally came out with it. She feels it's time for Johnny to know the truth. And Victoria's like, oh, no, no, no. We have our agreement. And look, we're not going to change it. She goes, Johnny's getting older now. And the older he gets, the more we keep the truth from him and Connor. But from him, he might resent us. And so Victoria's like, he already knows I'm not his biological mother. And Chelsea says, yes, but he doesn't know that Connor is not his cousin. Connor is his brother. And with the extension, I gave birth to him. I'm not trying to take your place. I'm not trying to do any of that, but I feel he's older now and he should know the truth. So Victoria, I kind of thought she was going to really blow up and handle it differently because Chelsea's like, lies come back to hurt us. And she goes, one thing you're right about is lies do come back to hurt us. She says, I'm not opposed, but I need to think about it. I need to think about if this is truly the right time. Billy and I need to discuss this. And I was surprised Victoria even said that much. But she goes, Chelsea, why the urgency? And so Chelsea was like, well, if it's one thing this year has taught me is, life isn't guaranteed to nobody. And I just feel Johnny should know more of his history. So we shall see where that goes. And then Victoria ends up running into Billy at the top of the GCAC poolside, and they talk, and she says, thank you for, letting me get ambushed by Chelsea. And Billy was like, Chelsea came to see you? And she goes, yeah, and she this, and this. And Billy said, look, she goes, and she said you already knew. He goes, yes, I did know. She mentioned it today. She goes, and I told her this is not a good time, but I would, when it's a good time, talk to you about it. He goes, I had no idea she was going to come to you. And so Victoria says, well, bottom line, she said, I'm not completely against it, but just too much. And Billy's like, look, I want you to understand, I'm not pushing for this. We will decide that when we want to decide that. So then they just talked as friends. And at the end, Chelsea kind of walks in, of course, and she sees them talking, and she doesn't go over there because she don't know, are they talking about me? Are they going to gang up on me? She waits for Victoria to leave to go sit down. Well, fancy seeing you here, stranger. She has to talk all fast, Chelsea. And Billy lets her sit down, and I'm thinking, are you going to ream her a new one? It was the end of the show, which I knew. So I said, okay, tomorrow you better be reaming her a new one, okay, for doing what she did, and try to find out what is your urgent motivation with this, right? And then it was interesting how before Victoria left, she and Billy were talking, and I think it was even Billy's idea, saying maybe it's a good idea for the kids to go back away for do another year away in school. And Victoria's like, you might be right. This way they don't have to deal with none of the news or the media over Ashlyn's death. And we'll miss him like crazy, but this is probably best for them. And I'm thinking, how old is Katie? Katie has to be what, 5 or 6 years old. Johnny, anywhere from 9 to 10. And we're going to send our little kids away so they don't hear any internet. No, you tell them what happened. Unfortunately, you may hear news. Ashley was not a good person. We found out. I mean, tell them the truth, but send them away. And I thought, is there no internet in boarding school? Is that it? They wouldn't come across it because you're so afraid they're going to come across it at home. And bottom line, they didn't know Ashlyn. Remember, when Ashlyn came back to ensnare Victoria into his web, playing sick right from the gate, Victoria sent her kids to live with Billy. They were not around for any of that. Okay? Harrison, he immediately allowed to go live with Kyle and Summer. So the only time they really saw Ashlyn or had a day with Ashlyn was at the wedding. And then at their wedding, I'm sorry, I never saw those kids come hug their mother, them hug her. Only thing you heard is her saying, oh, I checked in the room where the kids are playing. They weren't a part of the reception. They weren't a part of nothing. The only child that was a part of the wedding was Harrison as the ring bearer. And in my mind, I'm thinking Victoria only has one daughter who's still little. Why was little Katie not the ring bearer? The flower girl. So no, they're not heartbroken over Ashlyn, a man they don't and did not even build a relationship, period. Yeah, they knew him as some kind of individual. Look, just like I'm sure they knew about Ray. They knew Ray at some point, but that's not an excuse in my opinion, to send my kids that young away. Oh my goodness. So that's off of that tangent. But before Billy got up there, he and Lily had gotten into it because he walks into the office and she's on the tablet just closing it, kind of disgusted. And she goes, you missed the important international meeting that we had. He goes, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I know it took me weeks to get that set up. And she goes, yeah, and it had to be canceled. And who knows when it can be rescheduled because everybody's on different time zones. What happened to make you miss this important meeting? And Billy says, oh, Chelsea and I were doing a podcast and we got on a roll and time just got away from me. I'm like, oh yeah, just that. That's important. And Lily was like, of course, that's what it would be. Billy, and then she went in on him about, the podcast taking precedence over his primary job as the COO. And then he's like, are you trying to insinuate the podcast does not work? It is it's bringing in revenue for Chancellor Industries. And Lily is like, yeah, and you'll never let me forget it. She goes, but it's not bringing like enough revenue to hold the company up. It's just an outlet. She goes, and when you wanted to do it, one of the main concerns, my main concern, was how this was going to affect your duties, your primary duties as COO for this company. This podcast started as an outlet for you at night. And now it's morphed into something that, she goes, this is one time. Can you forgive me? She goes, for one thing, it's not this one time. You are late for a lot of meetings. And then when you are in the meetings, Billy, you are so distracted. You're not even present in the meetings, thinking about your podcast. But of course, this is not, of course I forgive you. This is not nothing it's a forgiver, but this is something you need to take assessment on. You need to actually decide. She goes, because the only time you do have zeal and vigor is talking about your podcast. Anything COO related, there's no enthusiasm. It's like that's not a desire or anything you really want to do. So I think you need to be honest with yourself. And then after that, you need to be honest with me and let me know. Because as the COO, you have to, she's expecting more. Oh, it's got to be more, right? So then we have Chance talking to Abby, back and forth, but it's still your decision, but you're missing stuff at home. Wrap it up. You need to do less. I think you're overwhelming yourself. And then Chance talking about, I'm closing all the Ray's cases, as in who asked him to do all of that? Really, who asked him to do that? But then this case, it is time consuming. I can't be there for everything, but Abby's just saying, but you need to, at some point, family does need to take precedence. Like you missed dinner, what, 2-3 times this week, so we'll see how that's going to go. Victoria shows up because she had text Chance, we need to meet, and he goes, come to the society in 30 minutes. So she shows up kind of like, Abby, I need to talk to Chance, please. Like, excuse you, Abby. Even though you're talking to your husband, excuse you, I need to talk to him. And Abby's like, we're busy. And so Victoria's like, and Chance is like, that's okay. It was scheduled, honey. It was scheduled. Because she was going to tell her, no, get out of here with that, girl. No, So Abby gets up and she kind of looks back at them like, so she goes, I have to go get Dominic anyway. So Abby leaves and she runs into Devon, and Devon is upset. But prior to that, he and Nate got into it. Before, I was thinking Devon is really biased, too heavy-handed. But after the exchange and the way Nate was talking to him, I'm thinking it's Nate. I'm leaning more. This is Nate causing a lot of this, because he goes, Lily really liked my ideas. She valued them. Because he goes, why would you run to her? And he goes, it didn't happen that way, which Nate was right. It didn't happen that way. But he goes, but she valued them. She thought my ideas were good, unlike you. And so Devon asked him, what exactly did she say to you? That my ideas had merit and worth considering. So Devon looked at him. He goes, and you took that as they were going to be adopted? He goes, that was not a committal statement, which it really wasn't. He goes, but what you would want to do is you would want to just run all off onto that, just that one little thing she said, and it wasn't a commitment. You would want to run and start getting wheels turning without any approval from anyone else. He goes, that is the problem. And he goes, no, what you just said is the problem. Approval, what? Approval from you? You want me to run everything by you? And Devon is like, yes, you work for me. You don't get it. You're my COO. You work for me. Yes, you run the ideas by me. I have to give the approval. See, it's you just are not used to working in this type of environment. And he's like, and I think it's a Nate, you hate not being an expert in in things. You hate that, but you're not an expert here. It would take years to get that idea up and running properly so that it's sustainable. And so Nate is like, it's something about you just, you he just really egotistical. Nate kind of went off, and Devon was like, whoa, hey, he crossed the line talking to a superior, right? But they weren't in the work environment. So, okay, maybe, right? So Nate stands up. And Devon, Devon's back at Nate, and then finally Nate goes, there it is. There, oh, you upset now? You mad now? You what? You want to hit me again? And so Devon looks and he goes, oh, he goes, you know what, Nate? Before you and I speak again, you're gonna have to really do some thinking and check yourself. and figure out what's going on with you before we speak again. And Devon walks out. And in my mind, if Nate would have said that to me, I would have said, oh, what? Am I just finding out right now, like 2 minutes ago, that you slept with my fiance? Am I just finding, did I just find that out? Because, see, yeah, if so, yeah, I'm going to hit you. I'm going to hit you again, right? Hit you again. Because they deserved that. It's just an accident that glass, his hand fell on some glass, or the glass fell on top of it. I think his hand fell on the glass and broke it. So if he wouldn't have been at that table there, he would have hit the ground, stood up, and just held his face. Yeah, that. Please, Nate, bringing that up, because you were a viperous snake and wrong with that. But anyway, so he's talking to Abby, and they're kind of hashing out their family woes with each other. And Abby's like, well, maybe you are being too heavy-handed. Maybe you need to let Nate make some mistakes. Let him make some mistakes. Since he feels he can't make any, she goes, Devon, let him make some mistakes. And Devon's like, And she goes, no, you're not going to do that. You're not going. He goes, well, because the company's at stake. But he goes, it's a thought though. My whole thing is I would let him, because he made a big mistake promising they have 50 podcasts ready to go. That didn't turn out okay at all. They don't have 50. So anyway, he goes, you know what, Abby? My gut is telling me something else is going on with Nate, and I can't figure it out. And then the scene cut to Nate sitting at society drinking alone with the scowl on his face. And I was looking at that and I thought, something is going on. I wonder what is it? There is more to meets the eye with this. And then I did some research, of course. Realistically, the information is this. Nate was born in 1984. Lily was born in 1995. So Lily would only be 28 in the real world. Way too young to have kids, almost finishing college, right? But either way, Nate was a good 10 years older almost than Lily. Devon and Lily are the same age. Lily is just a tiny bit older than Devon. Nate, their whole relationship, family relationship, has been older, a professional, more of an experienced mentor for Devon. And when Neil died, Nate really stepped into that role. Okay. They recast to this much younger Nate. The other Nate was not this young. Okay. Nate is probably having a hard time now taking instructions from his much younger cousin, because he does feel in his, he was a respected, renowned doctor. So it is hard for Nate to work with Devon as some kind of subordinate. But pretty much the only other interesting thing is Kevin came in telling Chance that they found the guards are gone, so they can't match the cigarette butt, the DNA, but there's a partial print, bloody print in the car. And Chance was like, so what does that mean? That means Ashland did get in the car. He goes, the blood is Ashland's, but the partial print is not his. So that's another break in the case. And now Chance is going to have to decide, do they need to do more investigation, or is this enough to take to, the district attorney to proceed? So that's it for The Young and the Restless. That's all that happened. I'll be back tomorrow for Cliffhanger Friday, although we have no cliffhangers going on. We did have one comment from Monique saying that it's never a good idea for family to work in the business world with you. There's a lot of problems that can happen, and it's usually the people that you hold the dearest, oh my goodness, that betray you and end up hurting you, which is true. That is true. It does work sometimes, but a lot of the times it doesn't work. It kind of works more when it's a parent and it's the child working for them. That kind of works better than just random family members coming together. That's rough and that's difficult. So that being said, I'll be back tomorrow to give my next recap on The Young and the Restless.